Thank you, everybody, for coming to the Aaron Torres Podcast YouTube page. If you could do me a quick favor, see that little subscribe button at the bottom of your screen? Go ahead, click that subscribe button. Really does help our channel grow, our audience grow, and I really do appreciate it more than you know. So click that subscribe button. Appreciate your support. Now, here's the video that you came here for. Good to be back. So let's keep the conversation going. Third top 20 matchup this weekend. We'll do a deep dive on Ole Miss versus LSU. Then from there, we'll kind of do some quick hitters on the other games that are certainly of note this weekend. But let's go ahead and dive in. LSU at Ole Miss. Very interesting point spread movement here in the Circa Sportsbook. Reminder, all of our point spreads provided by Circa Sportsbook. LSU opened as a 1-point favorite on Sunday. As we record here Wednesday morning, Ole Miss now a 2.5-point favorite. The over-under was at 57 down to 55. And I'll say this, you talk about an interesting storyline coming into the game. Let's go ahead and call this the battle for Landry Kiffin's heart, because Landry Kiffin, of course, is Lane Kiffin's daughter, who announced on Instagram this week. It became Instagram official. She is dating LSU linebacker Whit Weeks. We used to have love in basketball. It's love in football right now. And it's certainly interesting. By the way, Lane Kiffin tweeting at my buddy Trey Wallace from Outkick, take the over in this game. Lane Kiffin might have some tricks up his sleeve to kind of, I don't know if he's going to make Whit Weeks look silly or not, but we'll find out. Let's go ahead and dive into this one, though. First of all, very, very, very interesting matchup. And I think more than anything, what I want to do is take half a second and just go ahead and give Lane Kiffin a little bit of credit, because I think we get so caught up in a coach or a this or a that. Ole Miss was a team and a program that I kind of expected to take half a step back last year. Remember, this is who they lost. First round pick, NFL starter in week 4 of the NFL season, and Jackson Dart probably should have been the starter all along, but he's announced a starter this week. Walter Nolan, you don't get that many dudes that look like that at Ole Miss. I know he transferred in, but first round, top 15 pick, lost most of their defense. Jackson Dart, couple NFL wide receivers, and they largely haven't missed a beat. They're not only 4-0, they're 2-0 in SEC play. And I think they're not only 2-0 in SEC play, but I think what's especially impressive, they've done it with, do we still call Trinidad Chambliss the backup quarterback? This will be his 3rd straight start. It was officially announced on Wednesday. He is going to be under center. No disrespect to Austin Simmons, but I'll say this. Let me even backtrack. I get a lot of stuff wrong, but I will say that when Trinidad Chambliss came in against Kentucky in that week 2 game, and I know he didn't throw the ball, but I just thought the way he ran it, the confidence that he ran the offense, I said, I think that kid's pretty good. Well, he beats Arkansas at home a few weeks ago. They destroyed Tulane. That offense is rolling. And I think what's been interesting about that offense is, one, just seeing how he's operating. Again, coming from Ferris State, to quote Shaq, I'm not really familiar with their game, but 68% completion percentage for Trinidad Chambliss, 12 yards per completion, 4 touchdowns in the last 2 games. And I guess he had 1 in week 1. But I've been so impressed by not only his ability to make plays with his arm, but make plays with his feet as well. 62 yards rushing, 2 touchdowns against Arkansas. Also 112 yards on the ground against Tulane last week. Now, admittedly, going to be a little bit tougher to do that this week when they, of course, face off against Brian Kelly and the LSU defense, which is, in fact, elite. As far as Ole Miss's defense is concerned, we'll just be quick on this before we get to LSU. Ole Miss, listen, statistically, it's not going to be super impressive because of what Arkansas did. I'm here to tell you, that Arkansas offense with Taylon Green and Bobby Petrino is elite. They're going to put up yards and points on everybody this year, and I know they still play LSU and Texas and Tennessee. That offense is going to put up points on everybody. So I'm not as worried about Ole Miss's defense as maybe the statistics would indicate. So let's go ahead and switch to LSU. And I'll say this, certainly not worried about that LSU defense. Listen, credit where it's due. And by the way, I understand that some of the wins have not aged great. Clemson, Dabo might be looking for another job this week. I mean, he's not going to get fired, but does he want out? I don't know. He's kind of in that Mike Gundy challenging the administration to do something mode. Maybe he looks for another job this off. Anyway, the point is the Clemson win doesn't look quite as impressive. The Florida win, I mean, Florida is who they are at this point. One offensive touchdown in each of their last 3 games. It doesn't change the fact that this defense, in my opinion, is still elite and still special. And it's a credit to LSU, and it's a credit to Brian Kelly. Listen, older guy, he didn't have, he could have stuck to his ways, but he went out, spent a lot of money on Blake Baker, and I think it's showing up this year. Top 20 defense overall for the LSU Tigers. Conversely, what I'll also say about LSU, and this is kind of worth noting, Brian Kelly, did he take heat? I don't know, but he was frustrated with the question after the Florida game. Remember the Florida game, they win 20-7 or whatever the final score was in that game. And after the game, it was 20-10, excuse me. After the game, goes to the podium, ready to answer questions about being 1-0 in the SEC, 3-0 overall. And the first question is, what's wrong with the run offense? He freaks out. I think 2 things can be true. Is one, I don't know that that's the first question. I don't know that that's like a totally fair question to lead off with when you go 1-0 in SEC play. But conversely, we also can't deny that some things are going okay on offense, and conversely, some things are not. In terms of what's going okay, Garrett Nussmeier, I would describe as being okay so far. 68, or no, that's Trinidad Chambliss, excuse me. But Garrett Nussmeier, 6 touchdowns, 2 interceptions so far this season. Again, he's been good, and I think the wide receiver talent is really good. Aaron Anderson, I saw somebody say this. I'd give him credit. Might have been my buddy Carter Bryant, who does a great LSU YouTube show, who just said Aaron Anderson might be the most consistent player in college football. Never has an off night, never disappointing, never whatever. Barian Brown has been really good, the transfer from Kentucky. And, the pass game has been okay. Conversely, we also can't deny the run game. It's just weird. And, it's funny. I was thinking about this is Brian Kelly just known for O-lines and run games when he was, of course, the head coach at Notre Dame. Now at LSU, it's like, what is going on? They have not figured it out. It is so strange, but they are 112th nationally in rushing, which is kind of crazy. I think certainly a little bit crazier when you consider that a lot of those rushing yards came last week against Southeast Louisiana. And so as I dive into this game, I think we can look at it from a lot of different directions. Remember, by the way, Lane Kiffin said take the over in this game. I think I'll stay away from the over, and instead my official pick in the Circa Sportsbook. Remember, our Circa provides all of our point spreads. My official pick is Ole Miss -2.5, okay? And the bottom line is pretty straightforward, is that I do think that, listen, let me put it this way. How do I say this? I think both teams are good. I think we have some steps for me to believe that either team is great, okay? But I think with the LSU offense, we cannot deny it doesn't look the way that it's supposed to look. 112th nationally in rushing is not good, and it's certainly not good given some of the circumstances in which they've played. Now, again, I understand that Florida's defense is actually pretty legit, that Clemson's defense is okay. But conversely, I look at this game and I do wonder, how are they going to be able to move the ball? And then also with Ole Miss, I think the under is probably a pretty strong bet. As a matter of fact, I'm going to change down the fly. I am going to take Ole Miss -2.5 and the under of 55 because I think it's going to be tough for either team to get to 24 points. For all the criticism of Brian Kelly, that LSU defense is elite, but conversely, I also think the LSU offense is that bad. If you want to argue that the Florida defense is probably really good, the Clemson defense is okay, that's fine. But the LSU offense, to me, I just think is stuck in the mud, and I don't know exactly what's going on. I also think that LSU defense is legit. So I know Lane Kiffin said take the over here, but I'm going to take the under of 55 and Ole Miss -2.5. I just think that Ole Miss I don't know if they're the better team 1 through 85. At home, I trust their quarterback more. And I just don't trust LSU's offense at all. So I could go on and on. Ole Miss -2.5, LSU and Ole Miss under 55. Those are our official picks. By the way, should have mentioned, if you are planning on going to this game, SeatGeek.com promo code Torres gets you $20 off your first purchase.